Hey guys, welcome back. Today I made $4,139 between my multiple funded accounts. Today I'm going to dive into the trade we took. It was an inverse for Value Gap trade. This is imported from TradeZella. Shows it as a couple different accounts, but $46 commissions. Took one trade, even though it says two. And yeah, $4,100. And this is the trade we took. So diving into the charts here, we did move down pretty heavy this morning. Super volatile. We swept some lows here. I believe we swept Asia and London low early this morning. And then we started dumping. So I was actually watching for longs and I didn't see any longs that I liked. So what we had was an SMT between NQ and ES right here. As well as the 50% level, which is this blue line. That's the 50% of the whole daily range, was like right here. So we were kind of rejecting it. It's down here now because the market's dropped. So obviously the 50% level has moved, but it was right about here. So it was kind of rejecting the 50% level, which is good. That's good. The only bad thing about this trade is if we look at our checklist, we weren't in premium discount. Like we want to be shorting above the 50% level. So that wasn't it. We didn't really have a major liquidity sweep because we didn't sweep an hourly high to go short. There was a good reaction. It was inside the kill zone. We had good momentum. We had a clear draw on liquidity because there was a lot of liquidity below us. We did have an SMT. So we had a few things going for us. It wasn't perfect. I would rate this setup probably a B+, A-. But we had a 30-second for value gap here with an SMT at the high. Good. And we waited, chopped around, got some momentum through. I got a terrible fill and got filled at 85. So ideally we want to get filled like right here, as close to the gap as we can while it still closes below. And ideally we have our stop loss above the gap. So, if it closes above the gap, or you put a hard stop, at a swing high above the gap. Because I got such a terrible fill, I'm risking $200 on these trades. So that's 25 points on 4 micros. I would have been stopped out pretty much to the tick. I did give it a slightly bit extra room today because I wanted to put above the gap, but I didn't want to risk way more than I was expecting. So I put it here. Got so close. We got 1 point away on NQ. You guys know how small 1 point on NQ is. So we got 1 point away from my stop loss here. I legitimately thought I was done for right here. And we came back down and I scaled out. So I went break even when we hit this low right here, and I scaled 1 micro. Okay, so 1 contract was scaled here. And then we kept dumping. I scaled another contract here. So this is just like we were getting some momentum and I hopped out on the momentum. So I was still in 2 micros at this point. I scaled out another micro here. Once we swept out these lows, this was the 9:30, 9:40 a.m. low. So just the first 30 minutes low. And then my final TP, I was thinking about putting it at 587. This was a 4-hour swing point. We didn't end up hitting that, but I decided I will take the hourly low here because there's a good chance when we take hourly lows that we can reverse. So I took my last contract right here. Boom, right there. For a total of about 2.4R. Now we didn't actually extract 2.4R. The trade we scaled out at 2.4R, but we risked 200. We made about 320. So we made, somewhere around 1.6, 1.7R of net because we risked 200, made 320. So it did end up reversing quite a bit back on us. Well, we scaled out here, so we were out full. But if we were holding down here, this would have been a pretty much 50-point pullback that we would have been holding through. Stop loss would have been break even, just to get an extra, $60 on a contract, right? So depends how you like to scale, right? Because if you wanted to just sell everything at a 2R, you would have made more. So if you just sold everything right here, you would have made more than me, right? Even though I technically caught more points on a move, you held more contracts. So it depends how you want to scale. Some people like to do 1-to-1s because it's high win rate. So, you know, you could have made 200 bucks just getting out here, everything right there. I made 320 by holding for another 45 points. So it's you know, what do you want to do in that scenario? Because a lot of times you'll get out maybe one contract at a 1-to-1 or half your position at a 1-to-1, and it'll immediately come back up and break even you. So there's benefits to both. We can talk about that in another video, but solid iFVG here this morning. There's a few other setups, but this is the one I took. Again, scaling out one contract here, 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 and here. Total of 4. Got super, super lucky. We didn't get stopped out up here. That is luck. That's not skill. That's luck. But overall, solid trade. I would rate this, again, B+, A-. It wasn't perfect because we didn't sweep an hourly high and we weren't in the premium of the range. And I don't think we were rejecting any. I mean, we rejected an hourly for value gap early. Oh, this wasn't formed this morning. Yeah, so we weren't rejecting any big gaps or anything this morning either. So overall, solid trade. That's just a little recap, little iFVG lesson of the day there. So yeah, stay tuned for the iFVG Auto Trader, and thanks for watching.